Who?
And welcome to To Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Yep, watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Yes, and you join us today. We're on this rather desolate, rocky, foggy wasteland. It's a bit cold, isn't it?
Sure.
So enthusiastic. Well, we were on our way to do this recording, and we got intercepted, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not getting anywhere on this one today. Anyway, it's Genesis and the Daleks, everyone, this week. I tried to set the scene, it just didn't work. Anyway, how are you?
I'm all right. I've still got this cough, but I'm all right. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I don't usually ask how you are, so there we are. That's a bit different.
Mark normally doesn't give a shit how I am.
Anyway,
what mood are we in today? I don't know.
I don't know.
We've laughed like 4 times already, and it's not even a minute, is it? Are we at a minute? We're nearly at 2.
Well, I'm very excited to find out what you think about this story this week. I think we should go straight into it because it's a big one. It's a big, as I said last week, it was once voted the best Doctor Who story ever. And I have no idea what you think about this.
I know, I'm giving nothing away.
You haven't said anything at all.
Other than I've watched it.
Can you just indicate to us before, just something?
I did enjoy it.
Okay, great. There we are. There's a start, everyone.
From the very, very, very end.
So we left last week at the end of the Sontaran experiment. They were going to go back up to Nerva Beacon, weren't they? They got the transmat and all that. But they are intercepted. And there's that whole intro with the Doctor and the Time Lord.
We'd like you to return to Skaro at a point in time before the Daleks evolved.
Do you mean avert their creation?
Or affect their genetic development so that they evolve into less aggressive creatures.
So what are you thinking, the setup of this? It's a Terry Nation. It's a Terry Nation Part 1.
Terry Nation wrote this, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But it wasn't as Terry Nation-y Part 1 as other Terry Nation Part 1s have been.
Mainly Doctor and Companions investigating, no TARDIS.
There wasn't that much investigate. Like, normally it's the first story is just them exploring in the Terry Nation.
Yeah, okay, it's slightly different. He has changed the template slightly, not very much.
No, just like normally that whole first story is then just exploring a landscape, and you might see the other thing, but that's pretty much it. There was more going on than that, than just that's what I meant. That's all. That yes, you are correct. They were exploring, and there was that, but it's almost as if he's looked at like other stories and other writing and thought, "Oh, maybe we'll move this story on a bit."
This was one of the early ones that I saw. It was repeated in the 90s.
Yeah, I can imagine it being repeated a lot.
Like, I can think of like 3 times it's been repeated in the 90s alone. It was always the one that, because I think it was the Daleks, and it was Tom Baker. Sort of iconic things. So whenever someone was like, let's put Doctor Who on, I don't know, they just always seem to have gone for this one. So in terms of childhood primary school memories, this was very much the story of that time. So, and don't you think that opening is just quite adult, and with the World War II stuff and the machine guns and everything, and it's all on film and it looks really cool.
It took me a while to just sort of like, I was like, I remember these names of these places because we've been there before.
Well, we have. It's Skaro. Yeah, so that was the first Dalek story, and then when did we go on Skaro? Evil of the Daleks was Skaro as well. So this is our
and
third.
The 2. I mean, we didn't have we had Daleks, but we didn't have
Kaleds.
Yeah, Kaleds. I have to remember it's backwards. We didn't have Kaleds, but we did have the other race.
Thals.
Yes, the Thals, which, again, like when it was starting, because, I don't know, so I was like, where have I heard this before?
But it's a Thals, so this is, like, before Ganatus. This is Ganatus's ancestors, I think, in terms of the timeline. So what did you sort of pick up on that where, I mean, it's a great concept just to begin for this story. I mean, well done, Terry Nation. You have changed something. You are doing something. It's the Doctor has been asked to go back in time to stop the creation of the Daleks.
And it's a really great I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before because it's such a great idea.
Because I was worried that you were like, oh, it's Daleks again. What else is going to happen? But this is definitely something new. I mean, this is our 11th story, I think, featuring the Daleks that we've had.
Didn't realise it was that many.
So it's good that there's something different about it. It's got a different feel. It's not because that Death of the Daleks was the last one with Hoover and all of that lot. That was not a good one. But this seems a big step up. And for 6 episodes as well, 6-episode Dalek story. I was thinking, oh no, what are you gonna? How are you gonna react?
I know.
Anyway, I'll have a look through my notes and see what's going on. So we've got the Time Lords, World War II, and all of that stuff. We've got radiation, a minefield. They're very good Terry Nation things. I love that bit where the Doctor steps on the landmine.
Oh yes, that was great. And there was like that real tension, and I enjoyed like Harry putting the stones, and I loved all that. So actually, just talking companions a sec, to begin with, there's lots of companion action. And as the story went on, the story sort of overtook them, if that makes sense. It was about the dogs. It was about, I wanted to say Draco then. Who do I mean?
Davros.
Davros. You began with a D. Draco. I knew it wasn't Draco. I don't know why that came out. Davros. Let's call him Dav. Like all of that kind of overtook the need of the companions because it literally became about the storyline of how the Daleks were created. And a lot of it was this, what we would always refer to as the side characters, these sort of like the scientists in the back. And I mean, there was a long time where just Sarah Jane wasn't there.
Oh, I think but Sarah and Harry have great moments in this. Okay, let's just forget going through the story a minute. I mean, one, I put Sarah and Harry they're right into it. They don't actually ask the Doctor any questions. They were on their way to Nerva Beacon, and then suddenly they're like, okay, we're in this quarry.
Yeah.
They do not ask any questions about what's going on.
No, they're just in it. Maybe that conversation's been had. Because, just really skipping to the end here when they've got the ring. This is a bit that I was like, this is shit. And they're holding that ring, and then they all start running in a circle.
Well, they have to go flying into space. That's what you do with the time ring.
And then he goes into like that background speech, and then we've got like the last time we saw that background, we had Zoe's arse in our face.
Oh, you're talking about the mind robber. Okay, yeah, floating in space moments.
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
So like last time we've had something like that was then. I don't know. The end, I was just a bit like when they started like running in their circle. I was like, oh god, okay, here we go.
Well, it's still a story arc because there's no TARDIS in this. We've gone from the arc in space, beaming down, Sontaran experiment, beaming on our way up, Genesis of the Daleks. I mean, Harry, if we're talking about Harry, I was thinking he hasn't changed his clothes. He got in at the end of Robot, and then he's been non-stop since the end of Robot. All of this stuff has happened to them. They've not had a break.
Because from a writer's point of view, I don't know, but if he went back, then he'd be back with UNIT and he would be back with... So therefore, just keeping him moving on and on. We've only ever had the UNIT soldiers once before go on the TARDIS, and it's not like they became companions.
No, well, he's stuck there, isn't he? It's just non-stop. It's go, go, go for him. And it's good that Sarah's still got that yellow jacket, because when she's out in the fog on Skaro, it does help to see her. Maybe that was looking back, maybe that was okay, you have a yellow jacket for all of these stories coming up, just in case.
I like low continuity things like that, though. Like someone in costume has not thought this is a new story, but thought where have they come from and where. I like things like that. And they do that well with Doctor Who.
Yeah, and we go straight in all of the mind stuff, all of this machine gun, and then the Doctor and Harry are separated from Sarah. Gas attack. Again, I think that's another Terry Nation thing. And we meet the Kaleds and we have all the explanation. And the Kaleds are very sort of Nazi-like, aren't they, basically, at the end of the day?
Yeah, well, they're supposed to look like the baddies. And we're supposed to recognise them as the baddies. But it's interesting because to some extent they're not. Because we know the Daleks as the baddies, but they're all part of this war. And actually, the Thals, there was a point where I was like, are they worse than, like, because also we don't see them all. We don't see all the Kaleds, do we? Like, we only see the ones that are in this bunker that, because they've got blown up. It's not like we see the normal people. These are like the ones that have been chosen, and the scientists and the greater lot, I guess, that then go on and develop the Daleks.
Yeah, so the Kaleds are supposed to mutate eventually into the Kaled race is what the Daleks become. So Terry Nation's sort of rewriting history a bit, because when the first Doctor met them on Skaro, they'd already mutated. The Daleks were in this city, and then you had the Thals living out in the jungle with Ganatus and crew. So this is all before, where they've both got technology and they both have this, like, I don't know, 1,000 Years War or whatever. And then, so Davros is making these weapons to fight the Thals, which eventually become the Daleks, but he's experimenting on his own people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad you got that. Yeah.
Because we also have
I wasn't sure.
The ones that haven't been perfect are then sent out into the jungle.
The mutoi, what are they called? Mutos. Yeah, we had the Mutos as well. I thought that was quite scary when Sarah's out on her own and these things are following. Do you know what? That's what I wrote down. So, you know, when the Muto's after Sarah and it's all creepy and everything, the feel of this is so different. Like, I think I said this in the Ark in Space. It's so much more adult, because if you remember, you know, the third Doctor on the Mutants, where it was Monty Python guy out in the smoke in the thing, and then that was not scary. That was Monty Python, and it was trying to do the same thing. And here, this is, you know, with the, as I say, with the barbed wire and all that kind of stuff, that I couldn't see the third Doctor in a story like this. It's a completely different feel.
It is
to last season.
The Mutos, I didn't think were that scary.
Well, only because it's just unknown at the beginning, and actually, he turns out to be good. There's,
Well, only one of them is, and he's like, no, it's Saver. Like, love him. What's his name?
Oh my god! I thought you just said his name. Then I can't remember what his name is. I'm sorry, but he was great.
I said I love him.
He's Muto. Muto number one. There we go.
Number one.
Number one.
He was great, and I loved him the whole time. He was a great character, but in the nicest way, I couldn't work out. They weren't mutanty enough, other than one, like, he had a black glove on, which I don't want to go into a whole racist thing here. I was like, what is this like?
Glove? What? No, I felt like they were sort of more, they were all in these, he's sort of limping, and he's had, I feel like they've had, radiation issues and stuff where they have mutated. So his arm is all wrapped up. I didn't notice. Hand. Okay, I didn't notice that.
I noticed because he was pointing at Sarah, and you didn't see his face. He was one, the bad ones, and you didn't see his face. He was trying to attack her. You only saw the good one's face, really. And I was like, I'm not going to read too much into this.
No, I didn't see that. But they're all just in sort of grey bandages, from what I saw.
Whereas the good one actually didn't seem too bad. I mean, not like when Sarah first met an alien. What was it? The thing in the corridor, and it made her jump, and she was scared, and then she reached out to touch it.
Oh, Bilal, yeah. No, well, they're not. Who are they? They're Kaleds that have been experimented on, that have been just pushed out. So they're not like they're bad people or criminals or anything. They've been left to fend for themselves out in the wild. So, and they've had that, I don't know, they've that sort of kill or be killed instinct or survival instinct. Apart from our number one guy, our number one Muto, who we love.
Number one, yes.
You always surprise me by who your favourites are sometimes.
It's him. This whole story is him, I'm telling you now.
I better look up his name. I'll look up his name while we talk, and we can properly
we'll properly honour him.
We will. So as you go through, you learn about the Kaleds and the Thals and stuff. And we meet Nida, who is I would say our big baddie, Nida.
What? Yeah, glasses guy, yeah.
What do you think of him?
Yeah, he was like slimy, annoying baddie, yeah. He was like, do you remember, oh gosh, this is going back. It was the story where the guy was trying to take over the world, and his assistant was the one that was basically telling him what to do. It kind of reminded me a bit like that. And we were like, we argued at the time, like, and it was the one with all the delegates in.
Oh, Mavic Chen and the bald guy.
So it kind of felt a bit like that. Like Mavic Chen is Dav and his assistant almost worse because he knows exactly what he's doing and he sort of encourages this sort of evil strain of these bad thoughts.
He is a proper good villain.
Yeah, he does it really well.
Really, and like when he gets killed at the end, you're like, yes, he deserves it. So our number one Muto, his name is Severin.
Oh, Severin.
Yo, Severin.
Severin. Severin sounds like Slytherin or that sort of stuff. I don't know.
Severin, anyway. Severin's great.
We're all for him. All for Severin. Woo!
Well, if we're talking about Severin, could I just check in on your Harry status at the moment? Because I'm has Harry redeemed it? Harry met Sarah. I'm ready for the hashtag Hot for Harry on our Twitter. So,
Mark,
but you might not
bring
be.
It out. You bring out Hot for Harry. Like again, I think he's really good in this, but I don't think this is their story.
Oh, but they do so much.
Like I don't remember as much that they did. I remember at the start, yes. Like I'd say the first episode or two. And then once we basically meet the Daleks, it becomes about that. It's very much about like the Doctor trying to help destroy them.
But the Daleks aren't actually in it that much.
No,
I don't think.
Once they're introduced, that is basically what the story is about. From that point on, it is literally about how do we get rid of these things.
I suppose, yeah, Harry is very much, again, with the Doctor and Sarah is separated. And so Harry is, with the Doctor the whole time. Harry doesn't go off and do his own thing. But I still felt that he needed to be in the story and to be part of it.
Yeah. And like, that's not me. That's not a diss at their characters. Just this story is so strong. The strength is in the story and not in the people accompanying. Like, it almost feels like it's a mini side adventure. And we're sort of observing this happen. But the bit where he's got the wires and he's like, I could kill. Why wouldn't you?
Do I have the right? Simply touch one wire against the other.
You're there. You have a chance that will save millions and millions of lives versus this intelligent thing at its birth, right? We're not talking where there's millions of Daleks. We're talking where there's still a handful of Daleks, you know? And he's arguing that they're like, he'll be just as bad as them by destroying a life, but they destroy millions in the future of lives. There are countless numbers of lives, for thousands and thousands, millions of years, but thousands of years coming, they destroy lives and places, and he basically is cleaning up after them forevermore. So like,
but that is a great moment. That's a very famous moment. That is probably the iconic moment of Tom Baker's time, even so early on.
I wish
but I do
that
get
the
it,
reason
though,
that stopped him had been that something had stopped him, rather than a guy coming in going, "Oh, he's agreed to our demands." Like, he was never agreeing to. Like, there was no. It's very clear that there was no reasoning with this with Dav. Do you know what I mean? You don't
I know,
have to
yeah,
be.
it is, yeah. Because
Like, I'd have just preferred, I don't know, there'd been like, and it's something that happened that like prevented it, and it's like, that would have been our chance, rather than oh, thank God you came, I didn't have to make that decision. But the other great moment, sorry, I'm jumping around, for the Doctor was when him and Dav are having that face-to-face, and he's there pushing the buttons to his life support and stuff, and and he's like basically gone through and said everything that they've done, and but after that threat, that sort of, and their face, that was great. That was a really good moment.
Yeah, it's really strong between the Doctor and Davros in a lot of these. Okay, so that do I have the right moment? Okay, yes, we need the Daleks in, but two, it goes against. He is questioning. Yeah, he would be as bad as the Daleks, but two, it goes back to the Doctor's sort of moral non-interference. I mean, if you go back to
he's been given permission to.
Previous.
That's what the Time Lord sent him to do.
But surely that's still against the Doctor's nature as himself. Yeah,
but even Sarah points out, if it had been a bacteria, he would have. Like, we've seen him stopping things like that.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, you need to be there. You need to be there. Get Sarah Jane out. Put you next to him. And be like, "What are you doing? Get on with it. Come on." You just grab it off him and do the wires yourself.
God's sake, you're taking too long.
And I'd just be like Harry, just standing there, like, okay.
No.
But no, it's I think, it's a really good. It's what Doctor Who does. These moral questions and these.
I
what it's all about.
understand that moral dilemma, but equally, he knows what's to come because he's already experienced it. It's not like me reflecting on this at this point of beat. Like I'm talking about what 11 stories we've already had with them. You've just pointed out how many people have died, and we're not talking at a point where there's an army of Daleks. We're talking about when there's like literally a handful.
And it's still that would you go back and kill Hitler as a baby type thing, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Maybe I wouldn't kill Hitler as a baby, but maybe I'd like do something to stop his parents having sex. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the Doctor does in this. He's, in a way. No, he doesn't. I mean, he delays things. Anyway, right, let's get back on track a minute. So, I'm only at the end of episode 1 here. Well, Sarah sees Davros. So we hear mention of Davros. So, in your Doctor Who knowledge...
I didn't know.
Davros,
I did not know.
You didn't know. No. You knew nothing about Davros. You'd never seen Davros before.
I don't think so. No.
I thought you might have picked up on a Davros. So when you saw Davros,
name, like that is a real maybe. Not enough to remember it. I've never seen Davros.
Right. Okay. So when you saw Davros, then at the end of episode 1, were you
I was kind of like, what is he?
Ah.
As in, because he doesn't look like them.
Apart from the skirt.
No, well, yeah, he looks like more like a Dalek, but he's supposed to be a Kaled.
Well, he has. I mean, yeah, he has been through all sorts of different things, and he's worked on himself to keep himself alive. He's done his own life support system. So
he's supposed to be like mega old.
Well, he's this scientist that's just been through the war, and he has been developing chemical weapons and all sorts of different things, and he has built this technology. He's like their number one scientist that has ended up like that. He's great. Don't you think he's scary? Don't you think it's really good? It's something new for the Daleks.
Yes, that I agree with.
And the performance is amazing, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Like...
And the mask is good. It's a good look. It's creative. It's again another iconic thing of Doctor Who, because it's not a spoiler that Davros is in the new series and comes back and it's Davros and the Daleks from now on. Like, I thought you'd like it.
No, I did. The costume and the hand. Look, we've had Rockman. Lynx. Lynx was like a
Sontaran. Yeah.
Lynx was an awesome costume. This felt a little bit like late 60s, early 70s style costume. However, we've had worse this season. We've also had dinosaurs. They were terrible. But like, he is scary. I'll give you that. It is a very intimidating character. He does it really well. And you can tell that is the birth of the Daleks. The voice is there, everything about it. The bitterness.
So when you've got Davros and you've got all the scientists, and obviously they're scared of him, and he brings in the Daleks and puts the gun in, and he's experimenting with these creatures that he's created. And I don't know, maybe it's because I watched it when I was young, but this is, I don't know, when I was young watching this as like 6 or 7, you feel the threat. This is when the Daleks were scary. When I was watching that at the time, if someone was on screen with a Dalek or a Dalek was coming down a corridor, I was in fear for their life because they just seem much more dangerous than they've ever felt. And Davros adds to that. I'm like, oh my God, do not stand near Davros. He is going to get you. He is going to do something. I feel for all those scientists around. And I don't know, I still get that when I watch it today. That out of all sort of Doctor Who things that are like, not like scare, like jump or giving me nightmares or anything, but I don't know, I felt all those times where the Doctor's running or they're hiding from a Dalek round a corner or something. I'm like, oh my God, there's a Dalek nearby. If there is a Dalek there, this is dangerous.
That's interesting.
And that's the feeling I get.
I agree. And I wonder whether it's a music thing as well. They definitely... I think it's because we know they're coming, and then we see them and we know what they're capable of, yet no one else does yet. And you really know and feel that threat more. Them being part of Davros, I don't know if that was part of it for me. I think it's because at this point they're still under this control. They're still controllable. Yet we know what they're capable of. And we're not even sure at this point at what stage they are within that being capable. I mean, how quick, we do learn soon how quickly that changes, how quickly they stop obeying orders. You know that's coming because we know them, because these are creatures that we know. So I completely agree. They definitely had that intimidation. And I think music was a big game in that.
It's good music, yeah.
It's really good music. And it builds really well. And there's some really strong cliffhangers with the Daleks and moments. There's a moment when he talks down to the camera right at the end, you know, and it feels like he's talking at, like that Dalek is talking at you. There's some really, because ultimately this is the birth of the Daleks. And that's really exciting because we know them. So I completely agree with you there. I'm not sure if I feel it's because of Davros, though.
I don't know, I just feel like that costume, and he's in that sort of black PVC.
Can we talk about the back of his chair?
The back of his chair?
Yeah, it's a massive fuck you. Yes,
what?
Come on. It's literally... So I watched this with someone else, and I was like, are you thinking what I'm thinking about? What, the back of that chair is someone swearing? I went, yes. We both thought the same thing. So the back of his chair, because the shoulder things... Like you can't, no, listeners, you can't see what I'm doing, but you've got the shoulder things and then the neck. It literally looks like this.
Like a finger?
Yeah. Oh, Mark.
Okay.
How have you not spotted? I'm going to send you a picture. I can't unsee it. And every time I was like, it's literally like a big fuck you.
I think it's just a backrest, isn't it?
It is, okay, but it's a way, Davros, back of chair. Right, yeah, literally, it's the first thing that's come up. Okay. I'm going to send you a picture. I don't know how you missed it, because not only me, but the person I was watching it with said the same thing.
Okay, I don't think anyone's looked at the back of Davros's chair in so much detail before.
It's a whole shot for ages. I've just sent it you.
Oh, okay, I can see it now. Okay, listeners, I'll post a picture of it. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I don't think anyone's noticed that. Well, there you go. That's what Davros is saying.
They must have.
He's saying...
It's like a serious fuck you to like everyone.
He's like, fuck you, I'm Davros. I've created the Daleks.
Yeah, fuck you all. I'm the baddie here. And that made me laugh as well.
Okay, well, going back to the story, we've got the Doctor and Harry.
You like Clothes Watch. What do you want about? That's Clothes Watch, surely.
Clothes watch, chair watch.
Well, his clothes happen to be his chair, okay? He's one thing. He's one ensemble.
Anyway, the Doctor and Harry meet one of the scientists.
My cat's fish has just started going. It does it by itself sometimes. Sorry. Okay, start that again.
So the Doctor and Harry meet one of the scientists, and they get all sort of interrogated and stuff. And it's Ronson who's that. He's sort of the friendly one. He knows there's something up. He's one of the scientists, Ronson. And I was like, Ronson, why does that sound familiar? And I was trying to think. I keep thinking of Ron Seal. You know, like does exactly what it says on the tin. So every time they were like Ronson, I just think of a tin of like
Ron Seal.
I don't know, sealant or something. Ron Seal. We're going to call him Ron Seal from now on. Anyway, Ron Seal. And Ron Seal has plastic box that the Doctor has to put all his stuff in. It's a see-through plastic container.
You love that.
Which I love that. Which watch the Home Edit on Netflix, everyone. You know what I'm talking about. Ron Seal is part of the Home Edit. I bet he's got them girls in to do the.
That's probably where they've all
the bunker.
come from. The girls came in and they were like, "Khaled, we need to reorganise this. Here's some clear boxes. Then you can see your things. Oh, such a good idea. Why didn't we think of that? We've been. Oh.
And Davros is like, yeah, I put all the Dalek brains in on the clear plastic shelf in order with labels.
That's what they you need labels. Dad, you need some labels.
Car-led Dalek. I was talking about Davros's PVC, but never mind, doesn't matter. I just meant that, I don't know, I just feel like, if you touched it, it would be all like squishy and weird. I don't know, I always feel like thinking about touching Davros's PVC anyway. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Think about it.
but meanwhile, Sarah is captured by the Thals. So the Thals are making a rocket.
Yes.
Right. And she's going to get radiation. Don't you think, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but that cliffhanger at the end of part 2.
Oh, where she falls?
I mean, where she falls, one of the best. That is one of my favourite moments. Like, and it's our first freeze frame. And don't you think that's set, when they're climbing up, and I mean, I don't know how they're probably just climbing.
1v1, you know she's going to probably get hit or something's going to happen, and then she falls. Yeah, great cliffhanger. There are really good cliffhangers in this.
I feel like that's out of a James Bond film or something. And, because you can see the height, you feel the height, and they've just filmed it so well that you feel like she's going up and up and up. And she's proper, that's tough for her to climb, to, reach up.
My initial thing, right? So there was, the scaffolding, there's, 2 sides to it, right? She went straight for the harder side. And I was like, oh, Sarah. There was one bit that had more, steps. And I guess it's because you guys are in costumes and stuff, where she's more... But she's at the bit where it's giant, climb. I was like, oh, Sarah.
But that moment where she lets go and it's that cliffhanger, and you're just like, what? And it looks like she's literally just fallen off from a huge height. And, okay, the resolve, she's just fell down and just landed on another thing. She would have proper hurt herself anyway, because she fell quite a way.
Oh, yeah. It's a great cliffhanger, though.
I can't think of... Okay, in End of Invasion of Dinosaurs was great, but this is definitely in my top ever cliffhangers. That moment, and when I first saw that on TV, because I think it was on, one a week, when it was repeated, I was like, oh my God, how are you going to get out of that? She has fallen.
Yeah, and it she goes back, she's well away. It looks like a proper she has fallen. Yeah, I agree. I remember I saw that and I thought, how are they getting out of this? I was ready to watch it. I think I was only going to do the second one, and I ended up watching the third one because I wanted to see how they did that. How they fix that.
And it carries on into the next episode where they get to the top of the rocket, and when that guy pushes her off and holds her. I mean, that's so... I thought that, again, this is so more adult. You wouldn't get that in a third Doctor story. You wouldn't get that in anything. That is... Has a companion ever had such sort of violence? Do you know what I mean? Violence on that. That's horrible.
This is where I found it interesting between the Thals and the Kaleds, because we're sort of pushed to believe that the Kaleds are these bad people, but the Thals are just as bad. And previously, our experience with them, they've been the good guys trying to beat the Daleks. The Daleks are the bad thing that we know, but I mean, okay, they're trying to stop a war by blowing up, and then that'll stop this war. That's such a stupid belief. That's not going to stop a war. You've created more. You might have destroyed a city. All right, then the 1,000-year war will be over. No, it won't.
You need to get in there with
I need to be on negotiations.
Sort out this planet. What are you
on about? Yeah. No, it won't.
You need to sit down with Davros and be like, right. And
even Davros gives them here's how. Why would you believe that? Why would you think your enemy, who for 1,000 years, out of any of the enemies, Davros is the one that's been there the longest from the looks of it. And why you'd be oh, well, obviously he just wants to end it. Oh, yeah, we'll just blow him up and stop this war.
But then I think Davros isn't of sound mind.
Oh, no, I mean, we understand his... I'm thinking more the Thals here. I'm like, what? Why do you believe that? That's nuts. Why do you believe this guy's giving... I'd be more this guy's obviously trying to sabotage something because he's the enemy side and his solution is, here, blow us all up and you'll end the war. That's nuts. But he's crazy. And we know that. Surely they know that because it's a 1,000-year war.
But he's obsessed. I don't think it's about the war. He just wants to create these machines. He's above it. And the scientists and everything, they are above it. They just want to carry on. And the bit where he double crosses, because he ends up going over to the Thals and telling them about getting rid of the dome and stuff. I don't know how Davros travels so quickly from base to base, because the Doctor and Harry have to go underground, and Harry gets bit by that clam.
Been underground before.
We have. What do you think of Harry and the clam? Because that's his that's his big moment, really. He gets eaten by a clam. Maybe a weaker moment of this story. And then he's like, why do I have to put my foot in it?
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? It's just some nice light relief and humour to this jungle. And we know the jungle that it becomes.
We always know there's something dodgy in the bush on Skaro. Always something going on. Barbara knows that, doesn't she? And Harry's learnt this lesson.
And Susan screaming through it.
Yeah, there's always something, isn't there? But a lot of it is about, as we carry on to part 3, it's Davros and the scientists and all that. And yeah, I mean, I was gripped by it. It's sort of political moments, and you can see how Davros is manipulating everybody. He's, a proper true baddie. Poor Ron Seal gets killed.
Oh, yeah.
Quite early
and
on.
I liked Ron Seal.
Unfortunately. And then something that sort of pushes the story on a little bit is this time ring where we get to sort of episode 4 and the Doctor's like, oh shit, we need the time ring. A bit like that first story with the first Doctor where he had to get the Mercury back, because you get so far, they sort the stuff out with the Thals and everything, and then they're like, oh shit, we need to go back and get this time ring. I
completely missed this whole time ring. Like, I missed the
explanation.
I missed the Time Lords giving him the time ring.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how I missed it. But I did.
It was foggy and rocky. You probably just missed it.
Yeah.
Around that time.
But then once he was like, that's how we'll get back. And then it suddenly became quite a major thing for like 2 episodes. And then it was forgotten about for an episode. And then, like you say, around the 4th, like, oh yeah, we need to get that back.
Yeah, but it just adds that extra element, because it's that extra kick, whereas it might be flagging a little bit with the back and forth. There's a lot of capture back and forth. And I feel like the Doctor and Harry are back and forth from base to base quite a bit.
Well, they ask for cups of tea, don't they, and stuff around the 2nd episode.
Do they?
Yeah. The Doctor has like that, because he's like, I don't know, he's 3rd person now of like, give us some like investigations, give us your stuff. And he's like, can we have a cup of tea? And then it becomes, and he's like, Harry, no tea.
Well, then episode 5, the Doctor's captured, and the Doctor then is basically forced to record a Doctor Who podcast telling Davros all about the previous adventures that have happened. I wrote that down. They record the little thing.
Apart from they get to snip it out a little bit shorter, it's just like analogues over the top.
Send them some of our episodes about all our Dalek episodes. Send that over to Davros. He can listen. He'll find out about everything, can't he? So that was the first ever Doctor Who podcast happened there on Skaro. And don't you think the gun? I just wrote guns here because there's a bit where I think the Thals or the Kaleds, I get a bit confused about who's who. It's not like ones are in black or ones are in white. They are the same. They all have the same sort of uniform.
No, I agree. And there was one point where they were fighting, and I was like, this would be a really good time to be really clear who is who.
Yeah, they try with the Thals, though, to give them that sort of blondish look. The Thals always have blonde hair, so most of the Thals have blonde. And the other Thals are in green a bit later on, aren't they?
It would be really nice if the goodies and baddies were in very clear clothing, I agree, for the Kaleds.
Oh, and speaking of clothes watch, halfway through episode 5, the Doctor opens a locker and gives Sarah some combat trousers and a thing. And suddenly she just gets changed into it, like a bit later on. She just steals some clothes out of this locker.
I missed that. When was that?
Because she completely changed her outfit, because she starts off in that nice grey jumper, which she had before. And then episode 5, they're searching, I think they're on their way to get the time ring, and they're searching for weapons or something. The Doctor opens a locker and he was like, oh, these might be useful, and hands her a green jacket and combat trousers. Yeah. She takes them. Perfect fit, obviously, because next scene she's got completely changed into them. And so there's always an opportunity, even if you're in
I'll be honest,
like a bunker.
The 5th and 6th episode I watched today, and the 6th one I had to watch the ending about 6 times. Part of it was like I had it on and the plumber was here, so I just had it on. Old times I was talking to him, I was like, oh shit, I've missed that. But it happened so quickly at the end. I was like, have I missed something? I can't have missed something like the other week where I completely missed. And I watched it I got replaying it and going back and watching it. And the ending just happened so fast and quick. I was like, no, I missed at what point the Daleks suddenly gain their bad and start killing people. And I was like, have I missed something? And they're just suddenly like, it's just a sudden decision that they're like, oh, now they have decisions and can make that. And I completely missed it But also, what I thought it was me, which is why I ended up watching the thing 6 times. I was like, no, you've not. You just, it happens like that, which is why that's my only issue with the end. It's very like.
Well, I think it's a good surprise because you think Davros is slowly taking over. He kills all his own scientists. He sends the Daleks to kill all the Thals. And then it's just him and Nida. And then he's like, hang on a second. They're making the Dalek machine is Dalek Maker or whatever it is. And then the Dalek's like, no, it was us. I think that's a really good, because you think Davros is like, I'm going to win. I've created the Daleks.
A touch more suspense to it for me to clock that that's what was happening. Or like it either need to be explained, like we needed a scene where the Daleks are having that conversation of doing it, or we needed more of a suspense of it. And I think it's just because it was the end that they were like, we've got to get to the end.
But for 6 episodes, it doesn't, there's a lot happening.
That's not a diss. It's more me watching it and me thinking, shit, have I missed something? I can't miss something again. Massive. Let's go back and watch it again.
They kill Davros at the end. They blast him before he gets to...
So I saw all that and I was just like, when did that click? And I think I would have liked more of a suspense moment. I think that could have been longer. Because you're right, there are some really amazing moments in this where you get that fear. And I think I needed a bit longer to process the fear that this is where. So it could have been, even if it was more like, no, and like a slow look at them. And then the camera pans them and we realize that they are these evil things. And then that dialogue in his train, I order you to stop. And there's that silence. We had that, but it all happened quite quickly that I was like, have I missed something? Maybe that was just me.
I don't know, because they kill Nida and then Davros must be like, oh, fuck.
But not enough to stop it. He allows that to go on and he's right by that button. So he doesn't know it enough to stop it himself.
Well, I think he has that ego enough to be like, well, these are my creations. Of course they're not going to turn on me. It's the last thing that Davros would ever think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's just like he would, out of all the things he's done. And doesn't he say something like, oh, have pity or something? And it's like, well, actually, no, you've taken pity out of us, so it's your own fault. The fuck you has turned round onto Davros.
I love it when Mark swears.
You started it. So, and then, as you said, they're swinging around that time ring, spinning around into space. Do you know what? And I think that had a big effect on me as a child because I'd swear I remember playing that in primary school where we would have something and we were spinning around in the playground pretending to do the time ring. I swear we were doing that a lot. That was recreated a lot at school, that moment.
I can imagine. With Ross.
Yeah, with Ross.
I always remember Ross.
And Tom and everyone, yeah. We definitely played this one a lot. The spinning around the time ring was the favourite part of that. So special memories there. But can you see how this would have been at some point voted the number one classic story?
Yes. And I can imagine that's why it was on TV so much. Remember, the fact that I can talk this passionately about it and be like, what? Why? Is because it's a good story.
Joe, I'm quite surprised how passionate you have been about it and how positive you have been about it, actually.
It's because it's such a good story and it's such a good idea and concept. The weaker ones are where we really struggle to talk about them.
I think everybody would be very pleased that you have enjoyed it. I think people have been wondering if you will enjoy something like this or not.
It's probably, I'd say, maybe my second favourite Terry Nation.
Oh, after Keys of Marinus, of course.
Of course. So I think it's a really strong story.
And actually, it's shaping out to be quite a strong season for this Doctor, this new Doctor.
Yeah.
And he's great in this. Do you think...
He is just so complete in this. And he is the Doctor. To the point where, you just forget there was a third.
Oh, yeah, you can see how Tom Baker has made such an impact already. Because even, someone like the second Doctor, by his like fourth story, we still didn't really. He was up and down a little bit, and even the first Doctor was up and down. But he's so short, he's so strong already.
Part of me wonders if it's because the writers are used to this idea of writing for these new Doctors now. So when because that first and second, I completely agree. It took a while for that transition, and I think it's because that was such a new concept for everyone involved. Like, one, they didn't think they'd be replacing. They didn't think they'd have to replace. Like, there's many things that they like didn't think this would be, but here we are doing it. And then by the time they got to the third one, I think maybe it was a story or two when we were settled, and it's because everyone's like, and it was a new team and stuff, but they know that this is a concept, an idea that's happened before, and we know who the Doctor is. We're now 12 seasons in. We know this character. This person who plays it might be different, but we know. I was talking to someone about this in work because obviously they've just announced who the new Doctor is. And I was saying, like, it's just an actor's dream, isn't it, this part? Because ultimately, you have really clear guidelines as to who this character is, but what you do with it, it's kind of up to you. How you play it, you're given your lines, but when you're going into audition, I'm thinking more in this sense, like, it's very clear morally and that side of it, who this character is, but how you personify and then that influences how the writing comes, This is like an actor's dream role, surely. Because, how you interpret that and take it very much will influence the writing and how that comes forward. And I imagine it very much being like a teamwork in that sense.
Yeah, it's good. And you saying that about the new Doctor has reminded me, again, we've had a announcement David Tennant is doing an episode, and I was just thinking in my head then, I was like, because we don't know when that's set, if that's, or what the reason that he is in it. Is he playing a different Doctor, or is it set in his time? And I was thinking, when are we going to watch that in our watch? Is that going to be
we've got a while, yeah.
So, I know, I'll worry about it.
Worry about it like in what, 5 years?
Yeah.
Could be at least 5.
Okay, well, that's a good place to finish for this week, I think.
What's the next one called? Go on, break it to me.
So the next one, it's 4 episodes.
Yay! I love a 4.
And it's called Revenge of the Cybermen.
Oh! I think the Cybermen will be in it.
Yeah, these story titles aren't particularly mystic at the moment, are they? It doesn't really work.
Interesting that we've got the Cybermen so soon after the Dalek.
Well, so I think the story goes with this producer coming in, when they were doing this season for the new Doctor, they weren't sure how the new Doctor was going to go. So they've sort of filled it in with some old favourites to sort of keep viewers a bit more, so that makes sense. But we haven't had a Cyberman story since second Doctor.
I was going to say second Doctor. We didn't have it in third.
Yeah. No. So Isabel down the manhole was the last. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was the Wheel in Space, Tanya and Leo.
Yeah, you're right. Tanya and Leo. Her nose.
Yeah. Her nose.
But I was going to say, we didn't have it in third Doctor. So that's at least 3 seasons. 3? Was he 3?
5.
He was 5 seasons.
Yeah.
The third Doctor was 5 seasons.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
No.
Yeah, he did it for 5 years.
Shut the front door, bloody hell. That's
so we haven't had. So it's time for the Cybermen to come back.
I can't believe he was 5 years.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. That's
I can't believe. I mean, even it feels like a long time ago now, but I can't believe you're shocked about this already. There we go. The third Doctor did 5 seasons.
Oh my God. How long was the second Doctor? 4?
About 3 and a bit.
Maybe that's where I've got the 3 from. I feel like he was 3 as well. Maybe it's because the seasons are shorter.
They were. You remember season 7 was like 4 stories with Liz.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Like, bloody hell. Okay. Right.
Doctor Who still shocks you from time to time.
even the things I've done, and I'm so shocked.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, yeah, we will see you next week then for Revenge of the Cybermen.
Ooh.
In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 2watchwho, and you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. And if you don't want to sign up for anything, you can support us by just sending us a review on Apple Podcasts. That's always appreciated. So
yes,
there you go. Many ways to
support us. Thank you to everyone that does.
Yeah.
And those that are thinking of it too.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
To watch who?